John Fetterman, the lieutenant governor of Pennsylvania, is looking to pardon a Trump voter for voter fraud. 67-year-old Robert R. Lynn attempted to vote twice and knows he broke the law. I'll get to all the details in a second. But John Fetterman apparently wants to pardon him. Now, I'll get to his reasoning in a minute and whether I agree or disagree. But first up here, raw story. Writing the case centers on a man in 40 Fort, Luzerne County who allegedly filled out an absentee ballot application for his deceased mother with the intention of casting a second ballot for President Donald Trump in her name. He faces up to 10 years in prison if found guilty. First of all, this is a reminder that not only is voter fraud rare, as I'll get to in a second, I think this is just one of two voter fraud cases in Pennsylvania, but if you commit voter fraud, be ready to serve time. It is a serious offense, and this is why people don't try to do this unless you're just a complete idiot. And it is really easy to catch when you do attempt to vote twice. More here from HuffPost. County prosecutors have told local news outlets that it is the first case of alleged voter fraud in the county in 3 decades. This is how rare voter fraud is. The first case in that county in 3 decades, and as I said, I believe only one of 2 voter fraud cases in all of Pennsylvania. So here's the story about how he was caught. On October 8th, county detectives visited the 40 Fort address listed for Hannigan. Hannigan is his mother, his deceased mother, and spoke with Lynn, who was walking out of his home as detectives arrived. Detectives asked Lynn where Hannigan was. At first, Lynn said his mother was inside the house. When further pressed by detectives about the absentee ballot application, Lynn said his mother was deceased and eventually admitted that he forged her name and signature on the application. Lynn said he used a typewriter to fill out the application, then signed his late mother's name. He said he knew it was wrong, but did it anyway, the complaint states. This man knowingly committed voter fraud, and again, a Trump voter. This also is a reminder of, as far as I know, this has not happened with a Biden voter, at least not somebody knowingly committing voter fraud like this man did. Because if something like this happened and it was a Biden voter, you know that Trump every single day would be referencing this, discussing how it is just one of many cases like this. But because he has no actual case to work with when he discusses this voter fraud that doesn't exist, then he can't mention anything like this because these are Trump voters. And during the election, if you remember, Trump told his supporters to vote twice. He said, vote by mail, and then because he doesn't trust mail-in balloting, go and vote in person. That would be committing voter fraud. You could spend up to 10 years in prison, at least in Pennsylvania, for doing this. Now, John Fetterman, this is the Democratic Lieutenant Governor of Pennsylvania. He tweeted this out in response to the story. As chair of Pennsylvania's Board of Pardons, plus in the spirit of Thanksgiving, I hope if my dude in 40 Fort is convicted of voter fraud, he apply for a pardon. I believe in a second chance to thank him for the huge comedy, plus showing Pennsylvania how hard voter fraud is. So, I don't agree. I think if you're this dumb, if you commit voter fraud, if you break the law, you should face the repercussions for breaking the law. Why should this man get off? And what lessons is he going to learn for doing this? Like, I understand, in the spirit of Thanksgiving, but you can make the same case, showing how hard voter fraud is. You can make that case by convicting him. Now, 10 years, I would say probably a little harsh for voter fraud, especially, no one lost their life here. But at the same time, breaking the law like this, committing voter fraud should be something that people know if you commit it, there's going to be some repercussions for you doing that. At the same time, though, John Fetterman is, as far as I know, pretty good person. He's one of the early backers of Bernie Sanders in 2016. Though I have to say, in 2020, he didn't endorse anybody, possibly because of his position. But the Intelligencer writes here, saying Fetterman, who grew up in York, Pennsylvania, and landed in the Pittsburgh area in 2001 as part of the AmeriCorps and a program to help locals get GEDs, won his first mayoral race by 1 vote, and has long supported raising the minimum wage, legalizing marijuana, and implementing a single-payer healthcare program. He officiated the region's first same-sex marriage before it was legal. He also drew headlines across the state for repeatedly taking his progressive message to the heart of Trump County during his Bernie Sanders-endorsed campaign last year, speaking of 2016, against Democratic incumbent Mike Stack of a Philadelphian. His first major initiative, announced shortly after I visited, will be to hit all of Pennsylvania's 6-7 counties on a listening tour to hear residents' thoughts on marijuana legalization. So Fetterman here is an actual man of the people. This is why he has this extreme empathy when it comes to this case of voter fraud. That said, I understand his position here, but I do not agree.